This woman left her house one day and was never seen again. Her boyfriend, 30-year-old Tubilile, became worried and began searching for her. He went to her parents' house to see if she was there, but they said that they haven't heard from her also and that she wasn't taking her calls. And instantly they knew something was up. Luckily for them, Tubilile is a lawyer and also an activist, and he vowed that he would do everything within his power to get his girlfriend back home. Malaco was 26 at the time of her disappearance, and she was just 1 week away from turning 27. She was an IT specialist living in Midrand Gauteng in South Africa and was in a 7-year relationship with Tubelile, and together they had a little child, a 3-year-old. They were both living together and raising their child as a happy family, looking forward to getting married after all these years. But on this day, around the 7th of March 2023, she vanished. However, it would not take long before she would be found. 3 days after she disappeared, her vehicle was found down the road, burned to ashes. Inside the vehicle was a body. That body would later be taken for DNA testing, and it would show that it belonged to Malaco. This was a devastating ending to a mysterious disappearance. Tubilile was shocked. He did not understand how this happened. Ironically, where the vehicle was found, burnt, was within their neighborhood, not very far from where they live. Did she have an accident or was she attacked? Her death was devastating to her family as well. They were heartbroken. This was not how they thought it was going to end in their search for her. But right before her burial, a particular police officer looked at the nature of her death and became a little bit suspicious. And instantly, they decided to run an autopsy because something looked odd in the way she was found, burnt in the vehicle. First thing first, the vehicle did not appear to have any dents on it to indicate she crashed into something. So how did the fire start? It did not also indicate destruction to show, let's say, somebody shot at the fuel tank or a bazooka struck the vehicle. Nothing. It just appeared that she sat in the vehicle and the vehicle caught fire. And it's not as if she was found on a seat belt to indicate she was trapped. People don't just die from fire in their vehicles unless there's an accident involving something else. But with the way her body was found in the car, it did not look like an accident. And just before the family would bury her body, an autopsy was run on it, and it came out to show that she did not die from the fire. There was no soot or indication that she inhaled any smoke inside her lungs, and it became clear to the investigators that this young woman had been killed, planted in the vehicle, and set ablaze. But here is the thing: despite the fact that they now know she did not die from the fire, or per se she was not alive when the fire was burning the vehicle, they could not determine the cause of her death. But they just knew it was not by the accident or the fire. They could also tell that her body had been stored in a cold room before being put in that fire. Because whereas the fire burnt her outer body part significantly, something was wrong internally in her. It felt like she had been, when you probably boil some kind of chicken that has been frozen and then the outside is hot but deep in the core it's still cold. I believe that was something that came up. And when they looked at the location of where her vehicle was found, the nearest person to her was her boyfriend, Tubelile. And that was how he became a person of interest. By this time, he was already mourning his wife, wondering how they would raise the kids together. He had made a Facebook post crying and cherishing all the moments they had together. He was devastated. How did he go from losing his baby mama, his girlfriend, the love of his life, to being a suspect in her death? And when they started investigating him, they went through his mobile phone and they realized that days before the body was found, he, Tubilile, was on the scene of that location where the body was eventually found. Days before the body was found, they were able to trace the movement of his mobile phone and realize that he was in the premises of where the body was found days before it was found, which means that if he was there, he would have seen the vehicle and he would have seen the wife. Either that or he was the one who took the vehicle and his wife there, because aside him, no one else had access to Malaco's vehicle. He was the only one who did. But that was not enough. That was not enough to say he did it, because it's possible that he went there to look for her, and when she wasn't there, he moved away, and maybe another time she came and had the accident there. So the investigators needed to find a motive maybe, to see why he would want to do it. The only thing that they could get was from the family of Malaco, who told them that right before her passing, she had expressed that she wanted to leave the relationship. She wanted to end the 7-year relationship, that it was getting too toxic for her. Prior to this, nobody knew that she was going through it in the relationship. Nobody knew what was happening. It's unclear if it's the case of domestic violence or cheating, or if she was just tired altogether. But she did express leaving the relationship. And I think that was something the investigators were going to hold against him. And instantly, a warrant for his arrest was made. And this was around July of 2023. Unfortunately, Tubulile disappeared. They couldn't find him. He wasn't home. He wasn't anywhere. They tried reaching out to him, but no show. It was clear that he was on the run. Eventually, by the end of July, he would be found and arrested and taken to court and charged with the murder of his girlfriend, Malaco. It's unclear the evidence they still had against him, if they had anything new, but pretty much all they had was the fact that she wanted to leave, and the accident happened not far away from their home, and he was the only one who had access to her vehicle as well as the home they shared. And to be honest, he was the last person to see her alive. The prosecution were able to create a narrative surrounding this. It's unclear what his defenses were, but they did not hold up in court, and that was how he, Tubulile, was found guilty of killing his girlfriend and trying to defeat the end of justice and also destruction of property, that's the vehicle, and was sentenced to life in prison. This is one of the weakest crime cases I've ever heard of, which is weird because I would assume they would have more evidence against him, a chat. I guess the major key point in which they were able to pin the murder to him was the fact that phone records showed that he was at the scene of the woman's body where it was found days before she was found. So it's an odd place to be. It's like, why were you at the exact place her body was found 2 days before it was found? Something doesn't add up. Something is not clear. Something just didn't make sense about that. So it's such a coincidence for there not to be a correlation on him participating in whatever happened. And if she had died somewhere and was kept somewhere or stored somewhere, where else would it be? Where else? In my mind, I feel like his defense did not do a good job, because I don't know how the law in South Africa works, but I would guess is to, create, all he has to do is get his lawyers to create a little bit of doubt, which in my mind would be establishing that, what if she had another boyfriend? What if she had gone to see somebody? Because if she had left the house with a vehicle to see another person, it means that other person now has access to the vehicle and could easily kill her in the boyfriend's house and bring her and drop her close to their house to set it on fire. But I don't think the argument would be strong, because then he would literally have to provide the boyfriend or the possibility that she was seeing another man. And I don't think he had that evidence to his advantage, which left him the only man and the only person who could have most likely done it, despite the lack of strong evidence, in my opinion.